Okay, welcome back, guys. This is Godson, and we have today new guests on the channel. We're going to be interviewing the members of the Influvial. If you guys could go ahead and introduce yourself, I believe we'll go ahead and do a scrub, scrub a dub dad. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we'll move on to Lemonade.
Hi. I'm glad to be here, Godson. So, as you said, my name's Dad, and I'm one of the four founders of Infoluvial.
Hey, thanks Godson for having us on as well. We're pretty excited to be here. I'm one of the four founders with the Infiluvio as well. I go by Lems on all the discords, Illuvium, Polymos, and all that.
Yeah, and I've been actually watching you guys on Twitter, and your information that you're bringing out is pretty fast and pretty like informative on what's going on with Illuvium. So, congratulations for launching the website. Could you guys tell us, what exactly you guys are doing with the community, with the website? What can people know about this new website, and what information do you have for new subscribers?
Well, the website we kind of decided we'd go for kind of, a Wikipedia kind of style page was our idea. So it'd be educational content, information on the game. So it'll be everything from, a brand new player just getting into crypto. They want to set up a MetaMask wallet, to start staking, something like that. We'll have guides and everything on that. So you can kind of learn about, getting into the ecosystem from a financial standpoint, but then also guides on the game. So, we have already got like an Illuvidex set up that has all the Illuvials that we have been leaked and released so far, affinities, classes, and just kind of shows, a little bit of information from what we know so far about those different things.
So the whole website really stemmed from our desire to provide information to the community. So, as Lems already mentioned, it's about how we can onboard new players into the Illuvium ecosystem and just really be a one-stop shop of everything. So what we have on the website right now, a lot of it is all information. So you have the governance proposals there. You have the Medium articles from Illuvium also there. You also have the leaks, all the gallery images that was shown in the Discord. So when people go to the website, they don't need to go through all other the Discord, the channels, just to get all the information. We want to provide it all in just one area, which is the website. And we do have plans for additional features in the future, and it's something that we're working on still, and even though we just launched the website.
Wonderful. Now, there's actually two things that I saw that you guys did. One was, I don't know who was this, but someone, as soon as they had a roadmap on the website that updated, I quickly saw that on Twitter, and I'm like, I made a video real quick, and then I got, someone said, "Rip, that's actually not the timeline." So I had to take the video down and everything. So who actually is on top of the updates for the website, and also the timeline that you guys had you posted, and that's really now maybe is that speculative, or could you tell us more about that timeline that you did, because that looks really interesting, and I'm hoping it's kind of like in that timeline that you guys produced.
So the timeline is actually a collaboration from all of us, right? So as you noticed, we tried to take all the information from the Discord, from the interviews, and from the snippets that both Kieran and Grant has been sharing from the whole time that we've been in the Discord. So we actually had this already set up even before the roadmap that they released on the website, and we were just actually waiting for it, just to confirm if we were on point. And if you notice that it's very speculative in such a way that we don't have specific timelines, so we don't have specific dates, but it is grounded on the interviews and the messages that the founders have sent. So although it seems that it can change, and during the Q1 we had the timeline out, obviously it did, right? Because of the issue with the hacks and whatnot. So we want to give a little bit of an idea to the community that this is what we're expecting for quarter two.
Right. And Lemonade, um, I wanted to ask you about maybe some of the things that are coming up with the update, soon to come update, and maybe you could maybe give your ideas about what you think is going to happen. I think they mentioned there's going to be a survival PvP. Do you guys know what have you guys heard about this? And maybe you could shed some light on what you think is going to happen with the future of the updates coming.
Yeah, I think the survival PvP is pretty interesting. I think
Yeah.
most of us all kind of watched the Illuvium Insider and watched the whole showdown. And I think we were also excited on the edge of our seats. The team probably realized, hey, this could actually be, pretty good to do. Even as a stream, 1v1s, people are playing at the same time, head to head. Each round is the same wave of Illuvials, and it just makes it pretty exciting to see, who can get further. And you get that flex at the end of it of that you beat your buddy, right? I think that could be pretty huge. And I really hope we kind of do see the private beta in the next couple of weeks. Kieran teased at it that it was going to be this month. So I'm optimistic and hoping we still see it before the end of April. So we'll see.
So are you guys pretty knowledgeable about, the classes, the affinities and everything, and the whole, mechanics of survival and the alluvials? Have you guys pretty much grounded on all that information? Because it looks really complex and complicated, but I've seen on your website you have everything documented and stuff, and that's really cool because just popping up my phone and going onto your website and seeing all that, it's a lot easier than going to the Illuvium website and trying to navigate through everything. So kudos to that. But could you tell me more about your knowledge on the game mechanics? How do you see survival playing out? Because I did another interview and I was talking about survival. I'm thinking that the way it's going to work is we're going to have our alluvials counter other alluvials. Like that's basically the premise of it, right? Just when the match starts, I have to figure out which one's the weak one, which one's the power one, and then go that way. Not too much that I can say since the game isn't released, but that's just what I've seen Kieran and Grant doing. I believe that's it. That's what it is. So, Scrub, could you give me your knowledge on the game?
On the survival, we're just basing it on what's been leaked out so far from the League Insider and the matches. And the very first thing that you really look at is the right side of the UI, which is the affinities and classes of the opposing board, right? So that's where you ground your choice of alluvials, obviously. And then your knowledge on the classes and affinities and how it counters it plays a vital role on that. But that's just one part of the complexity. What's the other portion? The second would probably be your choice of tanks, range DPS, and even your rogues to ever try to maybe take out the opposing DPS on the other side of the board. And then you have positioning, right? So those three things are something that you have to sort of consider in that short amount of time, which is around 25 seconds or 30 seconds from last I saw. And it's a bit much for someone who just jumped right in on it, and that's where the website really comes in, is to be able to provide you that knowledge before playing that game, that you can have an idea as to which alluvials that's going to be helpful in this particular setup, and then you would be able to focus now on your positioning and what type of alluvials, whether it be range, DPS, rogue, or a tank, that can help win that particular round for you.
And did you want to add to that, Lemonade?
Yeah, just for me, like I don't have autobattler experience. I know Scrubba plays a lot of TFT and stuff, so he kind of has a good understanding of autobattlers already. Like for me, the website will be really useful too. Like I'll happily have it on my phone. I'll have it be here with my screen, so I can at least kind of look at the classes and affinities as I'm playing. Because like you said, you got 30 seconds and you have to move fast between those survival rounds. So I think it's going to act as a really good training ground for players like me that don't have a huge autobattle. Like I played a couple of games of TFT to try and kind of get a feel for it before Illuvium, but Illuvium's going to be different. And I think it'll be, survival will be really good to learn the inside mechanics of that, because I would like to play some PvP, but I know I would just get trashed in the early days because I don't have the experience.
I guess I just wanted to ask, how do you guys see how do you guys see yourself in this game? Will you guys be players of it, or will you just be, on the sidelines giving information to people? And where do you see everything going with your website?
I'll kind of go for me. I know I'm like the overworld is what sold me from the early get-go. I'm excited to still play some PvP, but it was the overworld when I saw like the the cinematic gameplay trailer when, the one that a lot of people complained didn't have gameplay, but it had, Grant flying around in the world. That, was huge for me. That's what I'm really excited to run around and play in the world and just explore it, and then kind of share those experiences on the website and kind of, figure out some ways to speed run when you're playing on the overworld, as well as, doing the autobattler and kind of learning the tactics for that.
And then for me, I've always been a player. I've been playing games more than 30 years, I would say. And yeah, I'm excited for both the overworld and the rank and PvP. I'm a bit afraid of Leviathan because that.
But you know what? You
I think
guys
we
have
all
a
are.
lot of knowledge that could give you the advantage once the game comes out. If you have all this knowledge about the, the game mechanics and everything, that really gives you an advantage at early start to stay up on everything. So I'm gonna take advantage of that. I don't know if I'm gonna play for like one whole ETH, but I might be playing, in the Leviathan arena, depending on if I can adapt, So we'll just have to see. I guess I just have some questions for you, and this was really interesting that I heard. And I think this is documented, but they said that the fuel is going to be an ERC20 token. And I'm curious, is that going to be like a stable coin, or is it going to fluctuate? Because I did read also, like on the market, if the price gets too high, it's going to reduce. If it gets too low, they're going to buy it back. Is that correct? Could you guys tell me your knowledge on the Illuvium Zero fuel?
Yeah, I got a little bit on balancer pools. I know, I don't have, in-depth knowledge, but basically, from my understanding is when it's in Illuvium 0, it won't be an ERC20 at that point, but you can basically send it to the pool, and if you want, you can send it to your own wallet for the main game of Illuvium, and it would become ERC20. Everything has to go through that balancer pool, and then if you want, you can just sell it to the balancer pool and get ETH back. The DAO is going to control 95% of the supply, though, so 5% will come from the landowners, and that way landowners can, they can hold and hoard fuel if they want, and they can fluctuate the price a little bit, but the DAO said that they'll regulate, it'll go plus or minus 25% past some kind of benchmark they're going to set. They haven't set that benchmark yet, but that's what they say. So, landowners can gamify it a little bit and have like a little bit of leeway and hoard it if they want, or just dump it on the market, but they can't totally have a monopoly on it.
Yeah, and I was worried about like if it gets to a certain price, that's when all the landowners know to like sell, before it gets dumped down. So that's really interesting. I'm gonna do a video on that, and I believe you guys have that on your website as well. Trivia question for you, Scrub a dub. Do you know all 6 of the fuel sources?
Oh wow.
I'm always asking this on every interview, and one person
Actually,
almost got it all.
yeah. So there's actually 3 fuel and 3 elements. So if memory serves me right, you got Hyperion. Ah, oh my God, I actually forgot the other 3.
That is true.
Is it
There are
Krypton and
Hyperion,
3.
Solon?
yeah,
There's 3 that's
Krypton and Solon?
yeah.
Solon. Yeah, there you go. So Hyperion, Solon, and man, yeah, it's
Think
been a while since I
Superman.
last looked at.
What's Superman? You got to think Superman.
Exactly. I was gonna say that. Three of them are for. I think 3 of them are just for Illuvium Zero, right? They're just for upgrading your buildings and your resources and everything. And then the other 3, you can use those inside the overworld. Is that correct, or on the marketplace?
Yeah, and I'm not even sure. We might even be able to use fuel to speed things up in Zero. I don't know the mechanics of that, but they did talk about being able to, you're a Clash of Clans player. I used to play it once upon a time where you can speed up the construction of buildings in Illuvium Zero in the same kind of way. And I believe that would use fuel and not the elements, but I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, and
So,
go ahead.
yeah, just to add to that, because in terms of the resources for Illuvium Zero, you have 3 elements and 3 fuel, right? And the elements is usually used for the buildings, so to upgrade the buildings and whatnot. So that is, I think, hydrogen, carbon, and silicon. Yeah, and then you have the 3 fuels that you derive from the resources there as well. So as Lems already mentioned, it's Hyperion, Solon, and I forgot the other one. Right.
It's Krypton.
Krypton. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So
Kryptonite.
that also actually also adds to the boosting for the buildings as well. So several buildings would probably need different kinds of fuel or elements, which is a bit interesting because even though you have like one plot of land, not necessarily mean that it's going to be self-sufficient, right? So like your T1 land probably won't be self-sufficient. You might be lucky, but then you're able to either convert it with a building or you can trade it on the Illuvidex, which is the marketplace. So there's a little bit of interaction with other players on that end.
They also mentioned like I think it was they said with the scanner there's going to be a alluvial scanner, and they said positioning is going to help. I guess if you put it a far further away from other buildings, that helps it scan other alluvials, and then you get skins depending on like your land tier. If you're a higher land tier, you can get more rare stuff.
From what I know, it doesn't matter what tier that you have in terms of the chances that you're able to scan an alluvial. But it does play a role in terms of positioning, right? So I think Johnny A was mentioning there that you'd want to have your scanner a bit far from other buildings because your wild alluvials will not be going closer to the buildings, right? So there's some sort of logic into it, and that's why they said that if you have multiple T1s, there's more chances of you to actually get scans because of the vastness that you have and the more opportunities to do so, and it helps out with the blueprints. So, from what I've gathered, is that you be able to scan multiple alluvials to be able to craft the necessary blueprint associated to it. And that blueprint is something that you can use on the Illuvium main game to craft certain skins for your weapons or your shields. So that's what we were saying. Like you can have like a ramp fire sword, which is glowing bright red,
Wow,
and
yeah.
things like that.
What do you guys think about the Dutch auction coming up? Do you think it's more beneficial to try and get maybe two tier twos and then flip them, or just get one tier three? Because I think I know that's you don't give financial advice, but that's just really interesting to ask people about, like, hey, should we buy on the second day, or should I just get a bunch of tier ones and then upgrade those and flip them on the market? And how do you guys see the Dutch auction going?
I know for me, like I'm gonna just probably get a tier one, maybe a tier two. I'll watch the pricing kind of the first day of the auction. We have 3 days. I just kind of want a piece of the land to play on, kind of get involved with it. I'm not big on just it's very speculative, and we don't really know what way it will go. So that's why I just want to get a little piece. But when you talk about tier three, that's when it gets a little bit more exciting because you have the landmark involved, right? So it's like tier two, it's kind of hard to say, are people going to really value the landmark and pay a lot more for a tier three versus a tier two? And it's like we won't be able to see that until the Dutch auction, which I personally think is actually a great model, especially with the 100% of the revenue being redistributed to stakers. It just kind of makes sense to me that rather than have a cheap land sale and then have people just flip it for crazy profits, like many other lands do, it's like let's start it high, let people pay a fair market price for it, and the DAO will get all the money and we get it back as stakers.
So, personally, how I look into the survival is that I focus mostly on the classes first, right? Because you want to have a good mix of tanks, which is your bulwarks, and then you have your DPS, which can be your scion or your fighter if you want to be melee, right? And then you then use your elements to complement that to counter the opposing board. So an example here is that if you have a primarily fire board against you on that particular round, then you might want to have like a water bulwark to be able to tank the initial damage that the Illuvials will be dealing, right? So that would mean anywhere from an Axon to an Axodon, and then you'd have something to probably counter that fire. So you can use Earth DPS, Malura, for example, to try to go behind the line and try to beat Scoriox if they have like a range fire DPS like that. Or you can use more water alluvials to be able to provide that synergy also. So, like I said, classes, affinities, positioning, and then that synergy that you have to bolster either your hyper or the bonuses that you've been getting from your composites as well as your basic elements. It's a lot to take in, but you have to do it one by one first. Familiarize yourself with the classes based on what kind of setup of Illuvials that you want, and then look into your affinities as to how it can complement that, as opposed to the board that you're fighting against on a particular round.
So we plan to kind of have, generic information on the website to kind of learn the game and everything about it. But we also kind of intend to keep up with, meta team comps because, there's always going to be somewhat of a meta, but, the game is really interesting because as opposed to, TFT, where you have 8 different players coming in, there's a bit more randomness involved. This being 1v1, it's more like chess, and maybe there won't be a super strong meta overall. We don't really know until we dive in and play it, but it'll be really interesting to see the different team comps people come up with. We intend to have a section on the website where user built team comps, people can submit them and other people can comment on them, see how well they work. Wow. So we can have some community content that way as well.
Yeah, I'm worried about, the meta changing so much with all the balances and buffs that they're going to do. Like if we figure out there's going to be one Illuvial that's too strong, and then that'll change the meta if they nerf it. So yeah, that's just really interesting. You know what? I guess let's just, speculate a little bit. I know this is probably not, financial advice or anything, but what do you guys think about the rev diz? I feel that's the most, interesting thing for me. I don't know if I should do the overworld or just be safe and stay in survival. And I think you get earnings back from survival, if I'm not mistaken, or some PvE stuff. What do you guys see most of the players playing for RevDiz? And what are you guys going to do for RevDiz? Because I'm, really trying to get a lot of RevDiz. And I just want to know, what do you guys think was going to be the most profitable RevDiz in the game?
For me, I know I'm going to run all over the overworld at first. I intend to play some of the PvP. My understanding is survival and PvP, there'll be kind of a leaderboard. So it won't just be kind of like, Axie is the one most people are familiar with, where, every time you win, you get X amount of SLP. They're not going to do that because it's too inflationary as well. Like, and ILV already has a set number of tokens. They have a set number they're going to give away. So they're going to do that in, a ranked system and like with leaderboards is what I understand. And I'm not so sure I'm going to be able to earn too much that way because you've got to be a pretty good player for that side of things. But I know for me, I'm a collector. I love like creature collector games. Pokemon was a huge thing for me. So just being able to run around the world, collect them, sell some of them and have them, that's going to be huge for me. I think, a lot of people want to look at, play to earn. And I think, there will be ability to earn. I don't look at it primarily for that. For me, NFTs, a huge part is the ownership of the assets that we actually, own the collectibles. And, I have invested in, SLP and staking, and that's what I kind of look at. That's where I see most of my return on investment coming from. I'm going to enjoy the game for the game, and I figure I might make a little bit of money that way.
Scrub.
Yeah, and then for revenue distribution, I think the best way to go about it is on the overworld as well. As Lem's already put it, when you're in rank or PvP, only the top 100 maybe would be earning from that, right? And the rest of us plebs won't be able to earn anything from just climbing the leaderboards. But if you're in the overworld and you're catching more Illuvials, you're actually influxing the Illuvidex or the marketplace. So the more Illuvials are in the marketplace, more people have choices to buy these. And by buying these Illuvials on the Illuvidex, you are now fueling the revenue distribution, right? Because every income that that the DAO gets from the marketplace, which is, I think, 5%, if I remember correctly, that goes to the treasury, and that's what's going to be distributed to all the stakers. So if you want to focus on revenue distribution, not financial advice, obviously, go to the overworld, capture some Illuvials, and sell it on the marketplace.
Wonderful.
I just want to add on that too. This is something that Vulcan talks a lot about on his channel. Is there's also going to be collecting resources, because we've been told that if you want to speed run, there's going to be like little speed potions or some kind of plants and things you can have that will speed you up, and you can kind of run through the overworld faster. So there's probably going to be some people who just basically grind loops of that where they can make a safe return. Whereas if you're catching alluvials, maybe it's a little more risky. Maybe you might not be profitable in every run.
Wow. Okay, I just have one last question. This This is a question that I was asked on one of the Twitter interviews we did, but I guess I'll ask you guys. Where do you see legacy gamers coming in with crypto gaming? Do you see Illuvium being the first AAA game that's going to bring a lot of people in and get recognition out there? How do you guys get into Illuvium? And where do you just see the, the transition of the metaverse and GameFi going in 2022? Do you think it'll have a lot of adaptation, or do you think it'll just be some fringe niche thing that only crypto enthusiasts get into?
So that's a heavy question right there. Okay. Um, when it comes to legacy gaming, we're pretty early in the GameFi space, right? We're trying to shed that, rug kind of feeling wherein, it's NFTs. People are looking down on it, and they don't understand why we have this particular space right now. And Illuvium obviously is in the correct direction, wherein they're not trying to focus at, hey, you're going to earn in this game. They're not trying to do that. What they're trying to do is that, hey, we've got this great game coming out. And that's the first common that you have in converting legacy players into crypto gaming, right? Because like everybody else who goes into kind of games, they don't look at it as, hey, I'm going to put money into this because I know I'm going to earn. It's more of, I'm going to put money into this because I enjoy this game. And as a legacy player before, I played Hearthstone, I played Apex Legends, and I was shelling out money, for packs, for skins and whatnot, because I thoroughly enjoyed the game. And that's how I'm looking at Illuvium here. Wherein I'm playing the game, I'm enjoying it. I want to be a bit competitive. That's why I want to buy more Illuvials. So I'm throwing money at Illuvium because I'm getting something back from it, which is that enjoyment of the game and that sense of accomplishment. And now that you have this sense where in terms you have NFTs that you own the assets, and as soon as you quit the game, you can just liquidate and get every like portion of your investment back. That is the cherry on top for me as to why I really got into Illuvium.
Wow.
And then for me, I think, Illuvium, it's going to be probably one of the first, if not the first AAA game to come out in the crypto space. But I do think we are a ways off, as Scrubbo was saying. Mainstream adoption, it's going to be slow. Like we've seen, there's a lot of thought about NFTs in the mainstream right now, and it's because there's a lot of legacy, games just basically dressing up microtransactions right now, and hopefully that starts to change with time. We'll start to see some adoption, but I think it will take time. It will take some good games in the space. Illuvium can hopefully be the first one to really kind of make those waves. But I do see into 2023 and 2024, we will start seeing more AAA games, and the traditional game studios, they'll start to realize they're going to have to move to come over. I think it'll just take a little bit of time.
Right, and I think the whole aspect of NFTs, bringing that to ownership of the items that you have in the game, I think that's going to be really appealing to a lot of gamers once they understand the concept. Well, gentlemen, I hope we could do this again. When we have more information coming out about the game, you can give your expertise and your analysis of all these things that we're getting. Where can we find you? Where can our viewers find you online?
Well, Twitter's our main thing, so Twitter, like that's Scrubba's domain. So I'll let you actually do it. You're the Twitter guy.
Thanks, Lems. All right. So you can find us on Twitter. It's at Infoluvial. We're also on Instagram, and obviously you can find us on the website, which is www.infoluvial.io. We recently just launched it, as we mentioned a while ago. So any of that, you can send us a message or a DM, or you can connect with us in Discord, because we're mostly just there hanging out and talking to the community.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much, and thank you viewers also for watching. We'll do this again hopefully in the future, and thank you again. This is Godson out.